Yo, what is going on, everybody? This your boy Sean, aka Puff Comics 83. We are back with another movie talk on Friday, and I am joined by my favorite co-host, Varangian Vigilante. What is going on, my brother?
Exhausting day so far. Like working out, a lot of walking, mom's visiting, shopping. Like I said, my muscles are a little bit sore, but hey, at least I'm here talking about a movie that I really dislike.
Yes. So today, on the second week of Mafia May, we are talking two movies. One is the original and one is a remake. And
Isn't it the first week?
Huh?
Isn't it the first week?
Yeah, that's the first week. It's the first week.
It's just like the
it felt like the second week.
Yeah, it's 170 minutes long. It feels like it's the second week.
It is the first week. The introduction of Mafia May, and we're talking Scarface, both 1932 and 1983.
Yeah, it's been quite a month, dude. It's the 5th. Like,
I know. Made Revenge of the 5th is what it is.
Well, the only thing that sucks more is probably Star Wars than Scarface.
So, this is going to be an interesting discussion. You know, considering the fact that you pretty much despise the '83 movie.
Yeah, it's so crazy because I told you before in the pre-show, I watched it the first time when I was 14, and after watching it, like, I don't know why everybody likes this movie so much. Then I rewatched it in my 20s, and I thought, hey, maybe I was too young. When I watched it, maybe didn't get it. Rewatched it, and it's like, this movie is not for me. And then I watched it last week the third time. Hey, Jojo. And I thought, hey, maybe let's find some redeeming factors in this movie, cinematography. Some shots are really beautiful. And of course, it's a De Palma movie. He did one of my favorite movies, Phantom of the Paradise. This is a genius movie. But I even dislike it more now than I did when I was in my 20s and when I was a teenager. It's so fucking boring.
So it's interesting to hear now the comparison to the original 1932 movie, which I think, like, personally, I like the pacing better in the 32 movie.
Yes, the pacing is way better. And I also think, I mean, Pacino did a fantastic job in playing the ultimate scumbag. I guess there's nothing redeeming about the character, which of course is very fitting for like a scumbag drug lord. But of course, for watching a movie, I think that the Tony in the first movie in the 30s was more like an accessible character. Lucky you.
Yeah, I think seeing certain clips of the movie makes the movie feel better than sitting through the whole film.
I mean, for example, like when they hung F. Maurice Abrams' character from the helicopter.
That was fucking amazing because F. Murray Abraham can play a dickhead too.
Yeah, of course he killed Mozart. So.
He was getting on my nerves as well, so I was like, "Yeah, throw him on."
Yeah.
ain't nothing worse than an entire movie of characters that you like, man. Fuck all of them. I hope they all die.
Yeah. And of course, like with the chainsaw scene, there was like a lot of tension in there. There's like several. I think when you watch some scenes of it, you can really enjoy the cinematography. But sitting 70 minutes through it is for me is like too much.
That I think that's one of the reasons why I always had a love-hate relationship with this movie, because, like you said, certain scenes really elevate the movie, especially like the glorious ending where he go out cocaine fueled, shooting his gun and just being a complete asshole, going out in style. But when you sit through the whole movie, it's almost as if to say, can we just get to the interesting stuff? Because none of this stuff is really that interesting, and it moves at a snail pace. You know, like you see Tony's rise from being a low-level guy to a drug kingpin, but sometimes it's just the pacing and the story is just all over the place without to really dive into it. The 32 movie, even if it's in the 30s, knew what it wanted to do, and it made a beeline towards getting to that point without all the fluff.
Yeah, I also really like, you know, the whistling aspect, you know, where he always whistles when he kills something. I totally forgot that Boris Karloff was in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a really nice surprise.
And people didn't like his casting because he was a Brit, and that, you know, you know, why is he in this movie? It feels out of place.
Well, he tried to speak American for a hot minute, and then he gave it up.
He gave it up. He like, fuck this shit. I'm talking my natural voice.
Bloody wankers, eh?
That movie did actually show a war going on because of the ambition that Tony Calamanti wanted to make. You know, in the 32 movie, he shuts up his own boss and gets killed, Big Louie.
Yeah.
To help the lieutenant of Big Louie, Johnny, rise up to be the new boss. But you can see instantly that Tony is the guy. Johnny is like, he's now in charge, but he's not really in charge because everybody looked towards Tony for info and not Johnny. And even the guys didn't really buy Johnny as the new boss, you know, when he took over. So you could see from the start that Tony Calamanti is the guy who wants to be the man in charge.
Yeah. What surprised me watching like both movies back to back is how many plot points were taken from the 30s movies into the 83 movies. So you really have you really know immediately, okay, this is like a remake when you watch it. While also a lot of things, of course, have changed. It's also very interesting that both movies, you know, of course, when you watch them now and you're like, hey, this is like retro. No, like these were very contemporary movies when they came out, like dealing with problems that were like apparent, like they were like a bit contemporary, which is also sad that, of course, these sort of problems, like they want to do a remake again and put it like again.
No.
Yeah, but it also would show, of course, like it's a topic that sadly always will be with organized crime, with drugs and shit.
Yeah, because the original was more based on the Prohibition era.
Yeah, which of course, alcohol is also drugs.
Yeah, the number one drug in the industry.
Yeah, the good thing with the 93 version is I was on a public domain site, because I think since it's from the 30s, it should be also like out there as public domain, so you can watch it. But yeah, that one I really liked it, but I have my problem with some American tropes from this era, especially, of course, being German, being from Europe. I know a lot of the European cinema, like the French cinema, the German cinema from the 20s, from the 30s, and those movies were serious. Like you really had some adult stuff going on, like not in a porn kind of way, but like in a mature way, you know, you show some serial killers, etc. You had like early horror movies. When watching Scarface, the first thing I was shocked is how patronizing this movie is. Like it really treats the audience like they're children. It's like, don't do that. You know, this movie is about that. Like the censors in the US were like really tight.
Well, you gotta remember, I think 1932, from what I read, was the last. 32 or 33 were the last years before they really start putting ratings on the movie. Yeah. And because all before that, movies were like whatever they were. And the violence in this movie really like pushed the narrative forward that we need to put ratings on these films. So by 1934, they had a full-fledged rating system that now you got to be a certain age to view these movies. So this was pretty much like at the tail end of that. We can be free about doing these films. So it's almost like they're being patronizing with how they're telling you what the film is, but at the same time they still want to be that excess violence. And you know the stuff back then was tame compared to what we saw in '83. But back then it's shocking for an audience to see somebody get gunned down. And you know, I remember that they played that whole scene in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, and they had a movie back then, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. You know, same exact type of setup.
Yeah, you really have to watch the German movie M, Eine Stadt sucht einen Mörder, like M, a city is looking for a murderer, like from Fritz Lang, the fantastic Fritz Lang, and like when you watch this and compare it to an American film of the time, it's like it's not even close.
Completely different.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely was like towards the end of an era for Hollywood movies back then.
Yeah.
But one thing about the 32 movie is how Tony Calamonte is ambitious, and he's
Gary,
he's part scumbag, but at the same time, like, you don't straight up hate him.
Yeah, like he has a charm. Like, you know, that's also one of the things with the 30s movies. You know, with the 30 movies, you can see, okay, why people are loyal to him. You know, he's good around the boys, like he has a good connection to them. While in the 83 movies, like, why does anybody want to work for them? Why does anybody want to hire him? Why does anybody want to work for him?
You see it with the relationship between Tony and Manny in the 83 movie. Like, he started losing interest in Manny, and Manny's his right-hand man. What I also like about the 32 movie is a lot of stuff that the 83 movie does. The 83 movie like expands on it, and it really like hurts the film. Whereas the 32 movie is shortened, but it actually makes it better because the character of Poppy is straightforward in her goal. Like she basically is the trophy wife of the movie. You know, she was with Johnny at the beginning, but then she warms up to Tony, and she accepts Tony for who he is.
Yeah,
and they actually have a better connection than Tony and Elvira in the 83 movie.
Absolutely,
there was no connection at all in that movie, and I always felt that why the fuck would she want to get with him when you could just see it that he's just there just to take her from Frank. Yeah. But there was really no love.
Yeah, I really think that De Palma wanted to show it that way. You know, I think a lot of the stuff that De Palma wanted, he really put out and he really nailed. The problem with that is, at least for me, is that I don't want to see a 170 movie about a scumbag in a loveless relationship.
Exactly. You can't watch a character that has no redeeming factors whatsoever try and fall in love with a trophy wife that have no fucking emotions. I love Michelle Pfeiffer, but she really don't have no emotion. You know, throughout. The only time she showed it is when Tony was tearing into her at the restaurant, and she finally showed out some anger.
Yeah.
And that was like, bro, we're almost 2 hours in the movie. Now you admit that this fucking guy's a scumbag? Come on.
Yeah, it's
it just felt so wrong. Like they tried to push that relationship, but we all knew that shit wasn't gonna work because of how Tony's character was. At least Calamonte and Poppy had a good relationship because she warmed up to him and they liked each other. You never saw any dissension between them in their scene. She welcomed him taking over from Johnny because Johnny was, you could tell that she was born to him. Mm-hmm. But to Tony, she was entertained by him.
Yeah, that's also the thing in the 30s movies. I also think that it's more believable because when the movie starts, Tony is already like an established gangster.
Yeah.
while despite the movie, the 83 movie being 170 minutes long, I think that the rise from Tony, from like Refuge, of course he has some crime experience in Cuba, but like how it quickly assimilated and fraud and everything and rose up was like way too fast.
Way too fast. Like there was no hiccups for him, in that rise. Outside of, Frank wanting to put the hit on him.
And especially also like how he never was nice to anybody. Like I don't get why anybody even like gave him so many chances and didn't see it's like, hey, this guy's gonna
Frank to me saw it.
Yeah.
And he ignored it for too long. To be honest, a real G would have, after that scene where he came back from Sosa, and Sosa's the real gangster of the movie. To me, I want more Sosa.
Yes,
But Frank, so after that whole meeting with Sosa, and he told Frank about what he's gonna do, Frank should just put the hit on him right then and there, instead of keeping him along until it was too late.
And doing it like professionally.
Yeah, to me, a lot of things happened for Montana that benefited him, but he should have never fucking crossed Sosa. And Tony and Frank warned him about Sosa.
Yeah.
But back to the 32 movie. The only thing, what's up, Kenneth? The only thing that really like sticks out like a sore thumb is some of the comedic beats in it.
Yeah, but I think that was pretty much like a child of its time.
It's a child of its time. The only thing I found funny was when Tony and Poppy was in the restaurant. What up, Jeff? When Tony and Poppy was in the restaurant and O'Hara's men come by to shoot it up. I love Tony like, hey, they got machine guns. Oh, I need to get one of those. And then the dude shoots at the car, body falls out with the gun. And you're like, oh man, see what I got now? Oh, I'm gonna cause some damage. It's like a kid like mentality, like you said. It's like a kid like that. That's the kid. Like it makes you like the character more because of how his excitement is just to get a machine gun. I'm like,
hey. Also, again, shout out to Jeff. He's gonna have a nice event, I think, at Darkside Comics on the weekend with Sarah Frazetta, where they're gonna do a cool promotion for the Free Comic Book Day, Frazetta-verse comic.
Yeah.
So if you're in Florida, then check it out. Hey, shout for comics.
What's up? Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
See, we talk Scarface and a lot of people do.
It's like, hey, I like Scarface. Let's watch a stream about Scarface. Like, I fucking hate Scarface.
And like I said, the difference between Calamonte and Montana is that while Calamonte could be ruthless, he's charming, and he's somewhat of a person that you can talk to.
Yeah.
Like you said, the boys love him.
Educated, and they were totally right. Like, Tony is a fucking peasant. He should never be in that position. Like, he's way in over his head. And what came to him way too late.
He was way ambitious. Both Tonys are ambitious, but the thing with the 32 one is that at least he's not a scumbag to his own people.
Yeah. And I mean, he shoots like his best friend because of his
and that to me is the weakest part of the film for me, because I feel like Guido wasn't really built up much. He was a silent right-hand man. So you already know that Tony's very protective of his sister. So there's really like no reason for him to get with his sister, even if she's throwing herself at him.
Yeah, and there's like at a certain moment you have to realize that, thinking with your penis is not always the wisest decision. No.
I mean, the thing with Manny is there was at least some subtle moments of those two together that you could
so they fell in love with each other, and also I think that this is also why of course the killing was shown to be like a thing out of emotion, But I also think that makes it a little bit tougher because there was more of a relationship between Tony and Manny.
Yeah, that like to me, Tony and Manny is the highlight of that '83 movie because Manny to me is the more reasonable one. Even if sometimes he's a horn dog and he went to Miami just to get the women.
They both don't know how to speak with him.
They don't know how to talk to the females. But when you listen to Manny, you feel like you understand where he's coming from. Whereas you listen to Tony, it's like, this guy's out of his mind. I don't know if I can trust him. Tony has major trust issues. But it's like, out of all people, why would I trust you?
Yeah, that's the thing. Tony is such a scumbag, he makes police brutality seem sexy. Like...
He shoots a cop in there.
Yeah, and gets away with it.
Hey, he probably shot him because he remembered that dude had beef with the Scaleri brothers from Ghost. But yeah, like, that's my biggest problem with Montana is just that he is such an unredeemable character that, you like most of the other characters before him. And they're all scumbags, but he's the worst of the worst.
Yeah, and this is like the thing here with a lot of other movies, and we can also see it with Pacino. He's of course also like a criminal scumbag in the Godfather movies, but what he does is like way more relatable. I think the only real relatable character in the whole movie, this is a little bit Manny, but also like Tony's mother. The only sane person in the movie is Tony's mother.
And I love that scene. Like, I feel both Scarface movies has the mother that don't like the son and trying to save the sister. But I felt like the '83 movie was better.
Yeah.
Because she was very hell-bent on protecting her and her daughter from her son. And that she was the positive element of Cuban Americans compared to the ones that was coming off the boat. And I know a lot of them people, especially Cubans, did not like this film because of the representation that it showed, but that showed the positive side of Cuban Americans. Like, there are some great people from Cuba. I mean, I could say Hialeah Comic, bro. He's awesome. Awesome guy. And I know he despised Pacino's Scarface.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that guy.
I wonder if he's watching this now. He's like, I hate Al Pacino and Scarface.
Yeah, we could have had a session of people who really despise this movie. This is like the thing. Is basically people of all cultures come together and despise Scarface.
And the funny thing, like the actor who played Manny is the only actual Cuban in the movie. Everybody else ain't Cuban. So, like, it's hard to like watch this film sometimes and say, I don't want to like this film because of the characters, but the cinematography and the score, I love the score.
This score is fantastic. This score is the strongest part about the movie.
Yeah, the score and certain character traits of other characters that I like, but Tony is just unredeemable. I'll give credit where credit is due. Al Pacino really did nail out the part. He know how to play this character to the T.
He did it too good because like he's so unsympathetic.
Like, he really made you say, fuck this guy. I hate this character. Yes. Whereas the first one, I want to mention the name, Paul Mooney, he played it to the T in terms of there's some relatability to them. Mm-hmm. Like, he's loyal to his people. He knows how to treat a girl, even though he still was kind of a dickhead to his sister. But he felt more relatable, even if you knew he was crazy.
Yeah, and I also think that, of course, like in terms of acting was different in the 30s than it is became later. Especially, it's not that long ago, like there was silent movies, and of course, actors that still have been trained with silent movies. You can see that they overdo a lot of acting.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah, that's a good point, and because even certain scenes where it's like exaggerated faces.
Exactly. Yeah.
There was a lot of that in the 32 movie.
Yeah, but it's still understandable since like a lot of these actors were still doing it, still did silent movies, and it's like some things you just can't turn off within a few like years.
Now, what do you think of the difference between the sisters in each movie? Because I like the ending of the 83 movie.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised with the 32 one and how that changed out.
Yeah. First of all, both are fucking hot. But yeah, I really like, in the 30 movie that, she also came there, but she was not able to shoot it in because she realized, you're also part of me, like the family aspect. While the second, the remake made it a little bit more sexual. First of all, probably like Sousa didn't even have to send somebody because his sister was planning on killing him anyway.
Yeah.
She was just not a good shot.
I don't think she literally wanted him to do what she said. Fuck me, Tony.
Yeah.
She literally wanted that.
Yeah. It really seemed like
it felt weird. That's why she was a poor shot.
She was waiting for him to shoot his load.
But it's funny how both movies start out with her coming in with the gun, but the first one actually flipped the script and she admitted that she and Tony are the same because they're brother sister. And it really throws you in the loop if you watch this movie for the first time, because now you're like, they're gonna team up against the cops? I'm like, oh shit. She's loading up the gun and he's getting ready to go out and start blazing from the building. But then she got caught by a stray bullet that hits one of the bulletproof doors that Tony had holding. And it completely wrecks Tony. And he doesn't even go out blazing like the remake does.
Yeah.
Like, he is wrecked.
I really like that aspect. Also, of course, with the slogan "The world is yours," like on the billboard in the first, and then you can also see, of course, in the second, like in the House of Tony, which he took from the Zeppelin, where it's like both very powerful messages in that case and very powerful death scenes in the end. Also, of course, interesting in the first movie is like it's the police that guns him down, while in the second, of course, it's like the drug war. Yeah, Sosa's like. And it's also funny, like the guy with the shotgun that took Tony out in the end, the one with the sunglasses. You almost think like, hey, there should be a backstory of that guy would be very interesting.
Yeah, he was serious. Like you, the moment he popped up and took out one of Tony's men, and then looked up, I was like, oh.
Yeah. Like I guess this guy is paid a little bit better than the other.
Now you talk about the police. The one thing about the first movie is the police being somewhat the villains, even though the movie is about the villain.
Yeah, of course, from Tony's point of view, like.
But you get a little bit more of them in terms of them talking. They really despise the fact that the media and them are glorifying him, put him on a pedestal, like just for headlines. And we see in the beginning of the film when Tony gets arrested, not arrested, but they bring him to the station to talk about Big Louie's death and how they're talking to him, like thinking that, oh, you think you're gonna be the next big shot? We've seen you many people come and go, but at the end of the day, you end up dead or in jail. And we're gonna get you. And they're very stern about that stuff. And one of the cops really despised Tony, the one with the mustache. Every time they encounter each other, there's always this intense tension between the two. And it's like the police really had a presence in that original film, whereas the second movie, the only scene where we really see the police is when Tony gets arrested.
Or the beginning, of course, with the
you
get a green card, like when
they were questioning him, and and they pretty much that scene was pretty much like taken from the original one. I would say, you know, with them saying you're not going to make it. You know, I'm going to see you again, and stuff. So, what do you think about the Cuban element of this, from Fidel Castro sending the people over in the boat? Because that was a big part of that time in 1980.
I think that was very interesting. I think the intro was actually the most interesting part of it, especially. I wouldn't say it was risky since it was a movie from the 30s, which was, I don't think, of course, like I think film connoisseurs like, it's one of these early crime movies that is studied and talked a lot in some circles, but I don't think, it was one of these cases where, hey, they're gonna make a remake of Scarface and they redo it with Cubans instead of Italians. So I don't think there was like an outcry with this because the 32 movie was not so much in the public eye. I think it was a very interesting switch to do that, especially since there's not a lot of course, Cuba is like has also like a big part, like in Godfather Part 2. Which is a way superior movie than Scarface. Godfather Part 2 is awesome.
Another long movie too.
Yes, but this movie doesn't feel long. But yeah, it's very interesting, I almost wished it would have been a little bit more like almost wish like the beginning in the refugee center would have been a little bit longer, and you could see the different sort of reason. Some Cubans had really fled because they seek political asylum because they were like on the death list of Castro and the communists. But of course, some were like, were basically Castro said like, we don't want this complex either here. Let's send it to the US.
To the US.
To this. Because of course it's like also smart from his point. Like his reason was like to destabilize the US.
Yeah. The people like kind of glossed that over. Like he sent them over there for a reason.
Yes. So he actually wanted people like Tony that they exactly acted like Tony did. I almost wish that the political aspect would have been a bigger part of the movie.
It's like a small piece of the movie that gets glossed over.
Yeah.
And yet it's such a big part of history, with that whole Cuban refugees and Fidel Castro and stuff, to the point where that whole section could have been its own movie, of itself. But yet we only get a small section of it before we get Tony's rise in the drug game. And they really like fast forwarded that.
Yes. Like it's almost like they had 170 minutes time and they spend it most on the boring stuff and not on the interesting stuff that would be there in the plot.
And then you get an introduction of a character like Sosa, and I'm like, I want to see a little bit more of his.
Yeah, that would also be interesting. What also would have been interesting is, since it's totally clearly visible that Tony despises communists, which is the only redeeming factor about his personality. So it would be very interesting to have like a plot point that at a certain point he realizes that he's actually doing Castro's work there.
Yeah.
So that would have been very interesting. I would love to watch a movie that covers this.
Yeah, like there's a lot left on the floor, and I totally understand that, but there's some stuff in there that like with Sosa's character, like the most powerful drug lord in the movie, and the whole situation with him bringing in Tony to try and ace the guy who had all the info on them. First of all, you could just see in that scene, like, Tony is not really into it. From the way he's sitting in the chair looking at the video, like, I wouldn't want to put my trust into his hands to say, I need you to ace this dude. but he's the only one that has connections in America to do it. All that shit went so sideways. And this, to me, I hate the fact that they tried to make Tony sympathetic because of wife and kids.
Exactly, that felt so forced.
I'm like, you killed so many people. You are a complete and utter scumbag.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, wife and kids is involved. Oh, I ain't killing no wife. I don't want to live with that on my conscience.
Like I said, it's it's the hypocrisy within the...
You got a job to do.
Yeah.
And Frank told him earlier, after he had the meeting with Sosa, and like, you fuck with Sosa, he'll stick it to you.
Yeah.
And Sosa said, don't ever fuck me. But in Tony's mind, nobody can fuck him.
Yeah, like he's a peasant, and he totally acted like a peasant. So, despite it, I think it's totally in there, like, to I don't know, like to make people maybe relate a little bit. And well, Tony, of course, it could also be in there to show his hypocrisy.
It just fucking rubs me the wrong way with how he all of a sudden cares about wife and kids when your job is to take the guy out.
And especially also since he knew that this would mean war.
But yet he thinks he can go to war. See, that's the thing, that Tony in his mind, he like, they want to go to war. I give them war.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, you ain't got the army that Sosa has. This man just low-key came into your fucking crib and took out all your men.
And I think it also totally shows that, like in the end, how easily his men were like overcome.
And the biggest rule in the drug game, and everybody failed it, don't get high on your own supply.
Yep.
And this motherfucker just snorting up a storm.
Yeah, and also to all the people in the chat out there, to all of people in the comic book community watching this also counts for comic books. Don't get high on your own supply. Which is funny, but it's true. It's,
I mean,
don't believe the hype.
This movie really highlights how drugs can mess you up. But the one thing you didn't see in the original Scarface was Scarface getting drunked out of his mind off booze.
Yeah.
And booze was the main part of the whole gangster era, the prohibition, smuggling booze. But you ain't see them drinking the shit and getting high, getting drunk.
Yeah, which still is such a funny, like the whole prohibition. It's such an interesting and weird moment in history. It's like, okay, it's like a new government, it's a very new country. Let's see how long the politicians in the US realize that it's actually better to tax the shit out of it than forbid it to at least profit from people getting wasted.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy what the laws try and put on alcohol, but then people are gonna find their way with it because they want it. Yeah. The demand is too high. It's like cocaine is a bad fucking drug, and crack
except for Hollywood. Hollywood was better when cocaine was around.
That's right. I can't.
It's like legalize cocaine for writers.
They came up with the most off the wall shit back then, so we need it. But the thing is, cocaine was a highly potent and terrorizing drug. And then crack came right after that and just completely buried the country. It really did. But I find it hard to believe that Tony really cares about a wife and kids. Going back to that point, it's like they tried to make him a sympathetic character by he didn't kill a wife and kids. I'm like,
also basically it came out of nothing. If this would have been established. If he would have gotten like the order to kill like a woman in the refugee camp and he refused back then you at least would have something to build on, like a character trait. But this just came out of the blue.
It came out of the blue just to make him sympathetic, but it just made him worse. And like now you're already on the crossfire because now Sosa's after you. He like, fuck you, Tony. I want more Sosa. I'll say this about Sosa, and the movie in general. I said this backstage, but I really dislike how this movie had a influence on the young black youth in America.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Like from rappers, Scarface from the Ghetto Boys, he made the album "The World Is Yours." Nas did a song "The World Is Yours," all taking some references from Scarface. And then you had, the music from the movie getting sampled and used in hip hop beats. So many references in, New Jack City when Nino Brown and them is messing around. What are they watching? Scarface. Paid in Full. One of the drug dealers from Harlem, Alpo and all them stuff. What their main goal was when they got in the drug business? They watched the Scarface on the big screen. Yeah, this movie had a massive influence on the drug trade. It bred a whole new generation of drug dealers from the 80s forward.
Yeah, they probably played the video game where Tony survived and had to rebuild his empire.
The video game. Scarface had a video game.
Yeah, and the video game changed the movie because Tony survived and then he had to rebuild his whole drug empire.
the whole influence that this movie, the 83 Scarface movie, had is maddening.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, I don't know why you want to be something like him. Or take inspiration from him and say, I'm going to build my own drug empire.
Yeah, because all this, it's not like he's not like he's having a happy ending.
It's maddening sometimes. And I love some of hip hop music and stuff, the movies, but at the same time, I never understood the complete glorification of the 83 film, because to me it represents the absolute worst of people.
It's like the best thing is we stick to glorifying Eastern movies.
Yeah, but not Tony Montana.
Yeah, no, definitely not
Tony Montana. Hell, I would rather you watch the 32 film, and it's because at least there's nothing glamorizing about that character. Like to me, I feel like that Tony is a bit more redeemable, and like I said, at the end of the film when his sister gets shot, he is wrecked. Like he pretty much gave up.
Yeah.
Whereas Tony's Montana is like, I'm going to coked out binge and I'm going to kill as many people as I can. And that ending, I'll admit, is glorious. It's well shot, and Al Pacino was just. I read that he really did hurt himself snorting fake cocaine. I was like, he was really high on that shit when he had shot that scene, because he was perfect. That was to me was the great way of how a character like him can go out. In his own mind, he still thinks he's the king of the world. But he's getting riddled up with bullets, and yet he's like, come on, give me more, until that one guy with the shotgun came and just blew him away. And that final shot of him in the water with "The World Is Yours" globe, and that music playing.
This is the scene that especially people who glorify this movie should more focus on. This is like, because this is how it ends. Yeah,
you're only gonna end two ways: dead or in jail.
Yeah. I think Michael Franzese said it very nice. You know, he's like a former mobster. He's like one of the few who put the life around and doing now better work. Where he said it's like you can't mess with the government. They're printing their own money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you think you can get away with it,
hey Lisa, got your nice stack of books here.
Definitely gonna put a highlight on you, because we're pretty much like getting ready to wrap up.
Yeah, let's focus on something more interesting: comic books.
But I just definitely want to say, it was interesting watching both of these movies back to back.
Yeah, it's the last time in my life that I'm watching the 83 Scarface, and
you hear it here on the show.
Yeah, I tried it 3 times. And it gets worse and worse. I'm not gonna ever rewatch this.
Yeah, it's definitely a product of its time, and that's why I feel like it don't need to be remade. Like, we already got a bunch of gangster movies, that glorified drugs and stuff like that throughout the 80s and 90s. We don't need another Scarface type movie. There's no real point to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's no real reason to try and remake it, especially in this day and age. No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you can almost, of course, it goes a little bit deeper, but by its core, like, whole Breaking Bad is like a modern retelling of Scarface.
Yeah, and then you had a series Snowfall. Franklin Saint, the rise of his character and the crack epidemic. That's basically another tale. I
have not watched that one.
Yeah, TV show, but yeah, that was basically like another tale of rising up in the drug game, making all the money and fame, and then you come crashing down. Why would you want to go through that? But people like that stuff. Me, I'm like, man, I want to stay on the straight path away from drugs.
Yeah, I have not even smoked anything in my life. I have not even smoked a cigarette. I stopped drinking alcohol when I was 22.
Yeah, that's the number one drug.
Yes, I'm very much against alcohol. I mean, of course, like, if somebody drinks it, like, it's a free country, you can do it. But personally, I despise any sort of drug. Except for coffee, maybe. Coffee is good. Coffee is good for pre-workout and everything. I mean, Mike fucking meant to use meth as a pre-workout.
But yeah, I know there's probably a lot more to discuss, but I don't want to keep you going on a movie that you despise. So
yeah, I have actually think for a movie that I despise, and you also don't think it's like the most enthralling movie out there. We actually had some nice talking points.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that there was some good discussion on these two films, especially the differences in there, the comparisons and the differences. But like I said, that watching the 83 film just really made me like, yeah, I like it, but I just don't love it. You despise it, so that
I just don't get how it tastes are different, but I just don't get how people can like this movie.
Like I said, I like it, but I definitely see the problems they have, and I just like it more for the cinematography and the music and certain parts of the film that really like, all right, that was a good ass scene.
Yeah, like the aspect of course. This is an interesting thing. Like the things that this movie spawned is way better than the movie itself. Like, of course, the character of Razor Ramon, one of the best performers. Like, rest in peace, Scott Hall. Like, he took like inspiration for the movie, but he made his character more likable. And then, of course, GTA Vice City.
Yeah, Vice City. But and it also like put Miami on the map. Miami Vice came out around this time, so Miami became the flashy city that people wanted to go see. But another back to Scott Hall, like Scott Hall, at least he started out as a villain, but he was so damn charismatic and so entertaining. And that's why I feel like he got the Manny effect more than the Tony Montana effect.
Yeah, he blended it perfectly in one character.
Yeah, I felt he had more Manny in him. Because when you look at how Manny dressed, and then you look at how Tony dressed, Manny dressed more suave, whereas Tony looked kind of bummish. Like, he never really looked stylish.
I really think, when you watch the early vignettes, there's more of Tony in Razor Ramon. But then when you watch how the character developed, like in the next months and years, then you can totally see, the Manny aspect is more like the more likable.
Yeah, that's why he turned babyface, because he was just so entertaining and charismatic. Yeah. He had that Manny effect, whereas you like Manny.
It's still so interesting nowadays to find like Hispanic people that are just now finding out that Scott Hall was not Hispanic.
That shit makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Hey, he fooled me growing up. I thought he was.
Yeah, I mean, like, same here. Like he did it so well. And then when he came to WCW under Scott Hall, he's like, that's not an Hispanic name.
But yeah, he's still talking like Razor.
Yeah.
It just shows you become the character so much that even when you become normal, you still have the character in you.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Scott Hall, man.
Yes, please. Fantastic character. Fantastic.
So let's see what Lisa got you.
Yeah. First one is this beautiful variant cover of Eternus. Eternus #1. It's actually a pretty good read. That's a comic that is co-written by Gollum by Serkins, and it's a nice. It plays into the antique time where Christianity is taking over, and it's basically so far it's like it seems like a pagan resistance against Christianity, which I'm always here for. So really good read. Yeah, and a beautiful cover. I still have to read issue #3 here, but yeah, that's really great because this cover I have not seen here in a shop in Europe. But it's a really good read. It's 3 issues released so far. I think the 4th one should come out soon, and it's one of the best modern reads. You can totally see that it's written by somebody not in comics, so it has a quality and it's not narrow-sided. But yeah, the next one is I think that's like the last. It's a variant cover of The Last Barbarians, #1.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Haviland did a lot of the art. He's a fantastic artist. So this is very interesting, this cover.
Mm.
And then she sent me the full run of Lovesick because she thought I might dig it. Which when you see the covers, it's gonna be a very interesting read. Yeah, I mean, I heard about it, but I didn't have it on my pull list. And she said like, yeah, she's gonna send me the whole thing. So you have like a lot of naughty stuff in there. So
you got all them pigs, man. Like, what's up with the pigs?
Well, I mean, the best thing after sex is food. So bacon after sex is brilliant. So.
Oh Lord!
I remember I dated this girl once, and she lived next to a McDonald's, which was perfect. Like sex and then straight to McDonald's. Yeah, issue #3. This one is really nice. There's some Spawn appearance on it. So they're also taking advantage of being on Image. And I guess this is the next issue. It's a Virgin variant.
Yeah, these red covers, wow.
Yeah, actually this one reminds me a little bit I forgot the name of the movie. With Woods.
Which Woods?
I'm forgetting all the names. Like classic body horror movie. We Are the New Flesh.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah. Videotron.
Videotron.
Yeah, this one reminds me a little bit about Videotron.
We gotta talk that movie.
Oh yeah.
that dude turned it into pasta. Oh my god, General Tossed Chicken. God.
Oh, this is a splendid one.
Nice.
That one is also more on the naughty side.
Oh man.
It's like the court of the BDSM olds. The background.
Yes, it's Diamond.
Yeah. And a little bit moist. Yeah, this one is nice, but always never trust a chick in 69 with a knife.
Nah, not with that knife.
Yep. Because I don't know what you're gonna identify afterwards, but it's certainly not being a man.
Oh man!
And that's I've
I've seen this cover before.
This is a stunning cover. So I'm really looking forward to read them, and also have the assignment to give them an opinion about it. But what I've seen so far from the covers, like it's pretty sure it's not gonna be a boring read. I think I can.
Not with those covers, man.
No, I can guarantee that.
Nice.
Yeah, I still have to send out the UR. Okay, I already have everything packaged in here.
Yeah, no rush, man. When you get it out, you get it out. Matt finally got my package from him, and I had that since December, so.
Yeah. I also have some stuff here for Jeff, and also some stuff for Gary I already have here. Yeah, thanks again, Lisa. Really nice package. I was very happy. I was able to pick it up today from the post office.
Nice.
And it arrived quite fast. I think it was like only 5 days or something, or 1 week max. It was
That's
really wow.
A plus.
Yeah, it's always, I think this is always the best time to send stuff, since later on, especially with Christmas season.
The worst time.
Yeah, I mean, not everything can take so long, as I remember when Steve sent me the OK, and it was basically the first week of COVID. And then there were no planes going, so they shipped it literally with ship.
Nice. So, now that we got Scarface out of the way, so you don't have to watch it again. The next movie we're going to talk is, actually, you said you've never seen it before.
I've never seen it. Everybody loves this movie. It's also a movie by De Palma.
De Palma, yeah.
Yeah, it's The Untouchables.
So, The Untouchables, Kevin Costner, Robert De Niro, Sean Connery, Andy Garcia. It's going to be very interesting because that's another film.
It's so interesting because I always remember, even though I haven't seen the movie, I always remember it from a movie quiz. Because there was this one question that got wrong where it was like, from which movie is this quote? And where it said, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to make people think it doesn't exist.
That was Usual Suspects.
Exactly. It's not Untouchables?
I think it was Usual Suspects.
Really? Okay. Then I'm bringing it, I guess.
That's and I'm iffy on Bryan Singer, but I love that film.
Yeah. That movie I haven't also watched. Turns out most of the mob movies that I have watched are actually by Scorsese.
Scorsese is king.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely be getting to Scorsese, towards the end of the month, with Goodfellas.
Yes.
But yeah, Untouchables is definitely one that I want to touch on because Robert De Niro plays the legendary Al Capone. But the thing is, the movie doesn't revolve around Al Capone. It revolves around the DEA and them trying to get Capone.
Yeah.
And of course, we got the legendary what's his name? Shit,
Sean Connery is in there. Well,
Sean Connery's in it, but it was we talked about him before. Let me look it up. I know his name ain't coming to my mind, but I
know. This is the magic of being
Billy Drago.
Oh yeah.
He wears that white suit.
Movie villain.
He wears that white suit and he is just villainous in it. Like, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Invasion USA.
Yeah.
Where we got too little.
He don't get shot in the dick, so he ain't got to worry about that. But yeah, he's one of the villains in this movie, and he is just top notch.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. And plus the scene, that Naked Gun parody, the carriage is going down the stairs with the
Yeah. The Naked Gun movies, you also have to talk about it in the future.
Yes. Yes, we gotta talk Naked Gun movies. But yeah, Untouchables we'll be discussing next week. And I know tomorrow we have a Comic Con Crew episode. So we'll be back tomorrow, and our main topic is, of course, is music. We're gonna talk about albums that should have gotten 5 mics from the Source magazine. If you don't know, the Source magazine was the hip hop magazine of the 90s, and 5 mics was like the definition of a classic.
Now I get this episode from 30 Rock when the Source Awards were mentioned.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to commentate the Source Awards because they're gonna get shot.
Yeah, they were right, because every Source Awards had fights and stuff. Somebody bringing the gun and stuff. So yeah, it was a wild time in the 90s. It was a wild 90s.
So now that 30 Rock episodes make more sense.
Yeah.
I also loved the end. Also when it's like, you know, when what was the name of the rapper? I forgot the fake name of the rapper. And with Jack Donaghy, when like they had a dispute in the end, it's like, I'm gonna tell Tupac about this, and I didn't hear nothing.
Go ahead and tell him. Go ahead and tell him. Find him if you can.
I wrote this song a long time ago.
But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting discussion, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
probably it might get heated. You know, we're passionate about our hip hop.
Yeah.
As long as Scarface name don't come up, even though we might talk Scarface the rapper.
Yeah.
So his name will come up.
Let's just say it's a good thing that there are no black metal awards. That would get awkward.
But yeah, man, another great episode. Interesting discussing these 2 movies and our flaws with them. But like I said, episodes like this is needed because it brings out a great discussion.
Yeah, and it's also that finally it's over. I never have to watch it again.
You ain't got to watch Scarface 83 again.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest plus of it all. We get it out the way, and hopefully, eventually, we'll do a Godfather trilogy.
Yes, maybe the next year for May.
Yeah, 3 weeks. We talk all 3 Godfather films.
I still
even though the third one is like, do I really want to watch that?
I haven't watched the new cut yet.
I'm skeptical on the new cuts. The originals were just fantastic for the way they work.
Yeah, but
maybe when we do discuss it, I'll probably give it a shot, even if it's going to extend the movie time. Thanks, Gary. You know, Lisa. Thanks
again, Lisa, for the fantastic okay. And Gary, we still have to. We still have to get. I have to do a live stream with him on his channel. Finally.
And Gary, whenever you're ready, still waiting so we could do Jason and the Argonauts and Clash of the Titans. You know, we won't talk about those films unless you're ready to join us.
And we're gonna make it so, Sean and I'm gonna watch the classic Clash of the Titans, and you're gonna watch the remakes.
Oh man. But yeah, man, we'll definitely wait on you. When you give us the okay, then I'll definitely set that up because I really want to revisit those films too.
Yeah.
And thanks to Gun Pedro for sticking with us right from the very beginning. Appreciate you. And now I got to do it. I got to plug Retro Nerd Girl. You know, she's been rewatching the videos and commenting on them, so I appreciate her very much. So I got to plug her channel. Rocks. She's live right now.
I still don't know how she finds the time to rewatch stuff. I don't know how many hours she has in the day, but she must have more than we do. She
do live streams like Wednesday morning. She do Friday, Saturday. She's killing it. Ever since she done live streams, we've been saying like she is doing a fantastic job. Exactly. And her audience was very supportive, and I'm happy for her.
Rightfully so.
So definitely go sub her up and check out her live right now. This is your boy Sean, my man VV. Got a point over here, and we'll see you next week when we talk The Untouchables. Have a great weekend, y'all.
Bye-bye.